Alright, the reason I want to do something as silly as read the hardest novel of all time is because recently I've realized something. I think I'm addicted to YouTube. Holy sh... It's bad. Last week I watched a 5-hour video called We Captured a 12-foot Giant in Afghanistan.
Those beings came from somewhere.
And the week before that, I watched a guy play through the entirety of Resident Evil 9, but here's where it gets worse. Whenever it rains, my internet disconnects, and of course it was raining like crazy at the time, so here I am getting psychologically obliterated by buffering videos, and I'm thinking to myself, just send me back to the bloody 4th century, bro, and put me out of my misery so I can live as a peaceful Franciscan monk translating the Bible into Latin. Alrighty then, we need to break this addiction. The plan. Just as alcoholics don't keep alcohol in their house, so I, at the very least, shouldn't keep my entire freaking life on my laptop where YouTube is always waiting like a snake in ambush. But how do I get myself off the computer in the first place? Hey, let's read the hardest novel of all time, Finnegans Wake by James Joyce. Alright. River Run, past Eve and Adams, from Swerve of Shore to Bend of Bay, brings us by a commodious ficus of recirculation back to Howth Castle and environs. Oh my, what the f...
Come here! Bazinga.
Well, what can I expect when I've hardly read any of these books? My brain obviously doesn't hold enough knowledge to read Finnegans Wake because I've been binging YouTube for the past 10 years of my life. New plan. If I can understand James Joyce the writer, maybe I'll be able to understand Finnegans Wake the book. Wait, say that again, intuition? That's a great idea. 1 book for each month of the year. I mean, how hard could it be, right? 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 Part 1. Why Finnegans Wake? Because it's the hardest novel of all time, baby! Haven't you played Dark Souls? It's the Dark Souls effect. Intense difficulty is satisfying to the soul. Why? Because life itself is intensely difficult. Part 2. James Joyce's 12 favorite books. So the concept is that these 12 books form a kind of road to Finnegans Wake, and to record my progress along this road, I'm starting a new series called Welcome to Full Fathom 5. They put it down. Come on, baby. Welcome to Full Fathom 5, man. Or in this first iteration, Full Fathom 12, because I have 12 items on the list, on the menu. You get the point. Now, in researching this, when I first wanted to know what his favorite books were, what did I find? This amazing document called James Joyce Literary Tastes.pdf. I'll link it in the description. But, there's a huge but here. But one of James Joyce's favorite central works that he loved from boyhood isn't in this document. I'm not gonna spoil that straight away, dude. I'm gonna leave that a little bit later, alright? James Joyce's first favorite book. Okay, I should say this is in chronological order. So number 1, we got the Bible. The freaking OG, bro. I mean, what is there to say? People think the Bible is boring. And if you look at it through the lens of the church, it is the most boring. Oh my goodness, I can remember when I was a child and I was attending Sunday school or confirmation school and they forced us to read the Bible. And I want to shoot my... Whoa. Let's get back to James Joyce. What does he actually say about the Bible? How much did he love this book? He says, I love Dante almost as much as the Bible. He is my spiritual food. The rest is Ballads. And Dante, let me say it. Dante was one of his favorites. When we get to Dante, you understand. Okay, just stop, hold, patience, and look. We're not reading the whole Bible. You know how long it takes to read? If you read 1 chapter every day, it'll take you 3 years to finish the Bible. We're not doing that, okay? So the books in the Bible that relate most pertinently to James Joyce are, but because the Bible is like a library. For anyone who wants to read the Bible, I've put together like a little primer guide. Depending on what genres you like, I've given a suggestion what book you should start with in the Bible. Second, Aristotle. We got Nicomachean ethics. We talk about James Joyce like Aristotle. Of course, he likes all politics, metaphysics, rhetoric. We are not reading all of that stuff, all right? Nicomachean ethics is enough. This is what James Joyce says about Aristotle. The greatest thinker of all times, in my opinion, is Aristotle. Everything in his work is defined with wonderful clarity and simplicity. Later volumes were written to define the same thing. Third, Dante. Check out this edition of Dante. Dude, when I found out there was a Longfellow translation of Dante, I felt like I was touched by the Holy Spirit. The translations that I've read of Dante. When I hear about Dante, I hear like he's a god, and what I was reading was not godlike. But then I found this edition. Beautiful, beautiful stuff, but also illustrated by Gustave Doré, man. Hold up. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Dude, check this out. You see this? You see this shit? 4. Chaucer, baby. The OG English poet. The man who started it all. Who did, in English, what Dante did in Italian. He brought the vulgar tongue and he raised it above Latin. Yo, rewind. What did James Joyce say about Dante? Dude, you have one job. James Joyce said, Italian literature begins and ends with Dante. Dante ties one quickly. It is as if one were to look at the sun. Right, fast forward. Chaucer. What does he say about Chaucer, baby? He says, of all English writers, Chaucer is the clearest. Big compliment. He is as precise and slick as a Frenchman. I mean, without Chaucer, you wouldn't have my baby Shakespeare. I mean, if you're a blue man, you know, Shakespeare is probably the number one, the indisputable heavyweight champion. Okay, now what does Joyce say about Shakespeare? 1. In my history of literature, I have given the highest palms to Shakespeare, Wordsworth, and Shelley. Second one, the desert island question. Joyce says, I should hesitate between Dante and Shakespeare, but not for long. The Englishman is richer and would get my vote. 6, Homer. We gotta read Homer. I can't just quickly talk about translations of Homer. I mean, this is a fucking shit show. Translations of Homer. Oh my goodness, so many, and so many bad ones. So many ones that aren't poetry. Reading Chapman's translation of the Odyssey because I just can't take it anymore. I just need poetry. And also, what does James Joyce say about Homer again? James Joyce says, the most beautiful, all-embracing theme is that of the Odyssey. It is greater, more human than that of Hamlet, Don Quixote, Dante, Faust. The most beautiful, most human traits are contained in the Odyssey. Okay, number 7. Now we're going to conjoin the two because we just have to. Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe and Ben Jonson's Volpone. I'll tell you why. Joyce was a great admirer of Defoe. He possessed his complete works and had read every line of them. Of only 3 other writers, Joyce said, could he make this claim? Flaubert, Ben Jonson, and Ibsen. Robinson Crusoe he called the English Ulysses. Anyway, novel and play, 1 month, can be done, is possible. 8! This is it. This is the one that's not on the list. The Secret Love. William Blake. And James Joyce's brother, Stanislaus Joyce, wrote a book called My Brother's Keeper, and he says that in his youth, James Joyce's gods, quote, were Blake and Dante. I mean, that's all you need to know. When Joyce was about to finish writing Finnegans Wake, he told a guy called Jacques Mercanton, quote, the only thing that gives me the courage to finish is Blake's proverb. If the fool would persist in his folly, he would become wise. 9. Wordsworth, the guy who revolutionized modern poetry. Selected poems. We have to read selected because this guy, he wrote way too much. But Joyce said, I think Wordsworth, of all English men of letters, best deserves your word, genius. 10. Flaubert, Madame Bovary, translated by Francis Stig Muller. Of all the great 19th century masters of fiction, Joyce held Flaubert in highest esteem. 11. Henrik Ibsen, another one of his essential favorites. Here Joyce says, Ibsen towers head and shoulders above everyone else, even Shakespeare. He has been called a feminist in Hedda Gabler, but he is no more a feminist than I am an archbishop. He is the greatest dramatist I know. No one can construct a piece as he can. There's not an extraneous word in his work. 12. What else? What is James Joyce's 12th favorite book? Obviously, because James Joyce had apparently a crazy literary ego. It was huge. He knew he was a genius. He knew he was a god of literature even before he had died. So his 12th favorite book must be obviously his own Ulysses. I mean, who wouldn't? If you had written Ulysses, would it not have been one of your favorites? So yeah, those are James Joyce's 12 favorite books that we have to read, that I have to read before I read Finnegans Wake. Now obviously for some other things on this list, like Dostoevsky and Tolstoy, it breaks my heart that we don't have room, that I don't have room to fit this onto the list. Dude, I want to read Dostoevsky so bad. But 12, it has to be 12. It has to be an even 12, one for each month. That's the plan, dude. And we're gonna do one book for 1 month. So yeah, I'm not making any promises, but every fortnight Friday, every second Friday, we be here reading, bro. So yeah, I hope this gets better, and I hope to see you every fortnight. Peace, bro. See you later. I don't know.
Yeah, got me screaming more life. We could do this all night. There are things we don't like. Could be worse, we alright. Got me screaming more life. A good day to live, pain came and went. Life's full of ups and downs, that's the way it is. Rent's paid, let's play. I ain't no Chamberlain, but call me Sensei. How you label it?